Hello and welcome to the OMO Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan. And before we get too far into the show, I just wanted to say our second show, Octorock Talk, the one I do with James, is currently up on its own channel. I don't have it on all the platforms yet. I have it on Spotify and I have it on Podbean. And I think maybe it's on Audible, but I gotta double check that. So just go and checking all the boxes through Podbean. But yeah, just got that one up and going. So yeah.
You got it on iTunes?
Not iTunes yet. No, I just got to go through that. It's I look at the thing and I realize, oh, I got to create a web something on iTunes over there first. Okay, so just that kind of fun stuff. As fun as that is to talk about on the first 5 minutes of the show. Yeah.
Well, it's like doing the Pandora one. It's just like you have to create like a weird Pandora account and so on. It's like, well, this seems like fucking effort. Does anybody even listen to podcasts on Pandora? I've never heard that in my entire life.
I don't know if I'm doing the Pandora one. We'll find out. I'll do the iTunes one, but I think I gotta make a profile for that first. So we'll circle back to that when we do. But right now, I think most people I know listen to podcasts on Spotify or iTunes is a big one, but I feel like more people listen on Spotify.
Yeah, because iTunes is you're selected just a certain demographic only. But yeah, we should go check out Octorock Talk. Is it just under Octorock Talk by itself? Nothing.
Octorock Talk, yeah, just Octorock Talk, and me and my friend James, just kind of, it's sort of like a little bit of a, it's different from, I don't know, it's kind of similar to Old Man Orange, but it's kind of different. I feel like different co-hosts, different show, not to be like, not like trying to do like, backdoor thing, like, it's a secret show, Spencer can't know about it, shut the fuck up.
It's like one of those ones where it's like, it's just like Old Man Orange, but completely different.
It's more like, well, James, he's a little bit more, I feel like here, where we will talk about things, but any opportunity to like kick in a joke, we'll do it. Where there, it's more of just a casual kind of conversation, and usually a joke might slip in, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I always get that point where like you'll be on somebody else's podcast and you get like that moment to throw a joke in, and then there's some people out there that just like, well, your joke isn't the same with everybody, I guess. Especially if they're people from other countries sometimes. I mean, I don't have to say it, but every once in a while it's just like, oh, maybe that joke doesn't fly past America, I guess. Oh.
You have to keep that in mind sometimes, yeah.
But yeah, today we decided it's like, hey, you know what? Since we ain't getting no 007 coming out, you know what I mean? Because, it's supposed to be 007, always comes out for my birthday. It's just like one of those ones, England's always like, Spencer, we know you're far away from, like, the motherland, so here, have some 007 on your birthday. Cool. But this year, they're like, fuck it. There ain't enough people to sell movies to anymore. we're holding out.
Daniel Craig himself came into, like, a theater saying, like, only 20 people in the screening for Tenet. He's like, no.
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel. It's like Daniel Craig and the producers and all these guys probably walked in and be like, we will never make our money back. No, even if the movie theater was open 24/7, there's no way we're going to make that money. You know what I mean? Just like, lock it up. Never speak of it again. We'll just bury it. We'll open it up in 2035.
Whenever it happens. Yeah. And we were thinking, usually, like you said, sometimes it's summer or spring, but usually 007 movies come out in November. And if not in November, then at least on Thanksgiving, you get like a 007 marathon on one of 3 channels. So
yeah, I almost want to say that 007 movies have, at least in our lifetime, have always come out in November, because every single one of my birthdays that ever revolved around that, it's like, oh, we're gonna go see fucking, GoldenEye, or we're gonna go see Die Another Day, or we're gonna go see Casino Royale. This was one of the first. Wasn't
Casino Royale in like spring?
No, this one was the first one where like it wasn't. I remember because they were like, oh, we're gonna release it in March or whatever or May or whatever the heck they were going with the new 007. And then it was like, oh.
You're right, it was November, my bad.
Yeah. I was going to say, because every single one of them, it's always been tied to my birthday. And then I was like, and then when they moved it, it was like, oh, perfect. Okay, we're back to normal schedule. None of this fucking pulling a movie out in the wrong time period. And then it's like, oh, well, never mind. We're back to, well, who knows? Could probably be November next year. But whatever.
Could be November 5 years from now.
We have other 007 stuff out there, that you always kind of sort of forget that exists in the, the world. Like, there's all these 007 comic books out there, and so on. And we're like, well, fuck it. We'll read a 007 comic. It'll be kind of like having a new Bond and just different, It's one of those ones. Like, it's not the movie, but it's something else. And we decided one of the Dynamite 007 ones, which really, I was looking at this, like, this has like the the title of it's like the worst title ever. It just says James Bond 007. It's like, well, which one do you mean? Well, no, that's what it's called, James Bond 007. Well, yeah, I know we're talking about 007 movie, but which one? No, it's
Ian
just James
Fleming's
Bond.
007.
Yeah, it does say at that top too. I guess that may help with the search, but it's one of those ones like it's weird to have one. It's like you don't got like a cool like side name like every other Bond movie has ever had in its entire life. No,
I feel like well, there's another one. There's a couple other like Bond comics out there, and I think they're part of the same line. But I think they just started the renumbering by this point because I want to say Warren Ellis was writing it for a while, and those ones I have no idea. I just was walking through a comic book store, saw it, I flipped it open, and I just saw it looked a lot more like grittier and more of like old school kind of like spy stuff. And then we got this one, and like, okay, this one, it's a tad bit violenter than what we see in the movies, but it's not that far away from what we got today. So this one is not the one I was thinking about, but it's still a really fun book.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, no matter what, comic books are mostly always more violent than like, you know, the movies in general. I think it's just when you see it in drawings just look more violent anyways than, you know, special effects.
You got a moment to hold on it.
Yeah, I think that's also has something to do with it too. You know, and you know what the weird thing about this one is the fact that like I was trying to figure out like where this Bond was supposed to take place. Like, does it take place in the Daniel Craig universe? Does it take place in the classic 007 universe? Is it just its own thing? Like, where the hell it like? Because it's got characters in it and so on, but it's also like Bond's sort of been doing this for a while all at the same time. Like, I felt like I was a little lost where this was supposed to be exactly placed, but maybe this is all tied in with, you know, some of the other comics too. Even though this one's numbered 001.
I feel like maybe it's tied into those ones, but this is like a world where it's just where it's just kind of like a hodgepodge of different stuff, and we're just waiting to drop these characters in there. Like, it's not really, we don't know yet because the movie's not out, but people think that the one coming out, No Time to Die, they think the bad guy might be a new updated version of Dr. No, but really don't know until the movie comes out. So this might be the kind of things. This movie does do a couple things like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, this one definitely has stuff going in. Like, I really like how the guy who's like carrying around like that explosive bag and so on at the very beginning, like he almost kind of looks like almost like yourself if you were drawn in a comic, kind of sort of. I mean, I know he's bumbling, so not like
Thank
that.
You.
But,
Thank you for that.
But you know, if you had short hair and you're walking around with your flannel on, and you know, I guess you get a Hawaiian shirt.
That makes me just realize I got to go back to the gym then.
Well, I kind of hate all this. Starts at the very beginning. This guy like fucking trips. He's carrying the fucking wheelie roller bag, which isn't helping his cause. But
you know the really cowardly terrorist with the roller bag. Yeah, that looks like you.
I mean, like if you just include his like negative flaws and just took him as a character profile.
Negative flaws, as in all of his characteristics.
Well, yeah, because this guy's just like bumbling through and just like in like this Korean nightclub or wherever they are, Thailand. I can't remember. They kind of jump around.
He does seem like kind of this as the story goes on. He does come across as this guy who's just he's new to it. Like he stumbled into being a terrorist. Like, it wasn't his plan. He just like, they handed me this bag. They told me to go here and leave it. And people blew up. Like, oh shit. Well, I guess I'm in it now.
See, this literally sounds like, you know, to a cartoon show that, you know, 10 people out there probably have seen that they're still alive. But like good old 12 Me, when your character literally gets a fucking random job and is given the bag. That's almost like how this guy kind of feels. Like, hey, kid, you want to make an extra $1,000? Take this wheelie roller bag. Can you just put it in a regular bag? No. Take the wheelie roller bag. Don't pick it up. Fucking pick it up. Pull the handle out and drag it behind you like the fucking bitch you are. Like, oh, jeez. Like, that's all.
God, this lady with the dragon tattoo thing going on, she's really mean.
Yeah, I don't know. Just one of those ones. She's always beat me. Well, you're going to have to learn to fucking work with her because you're the one carrying the fucking wheelie roller bag now.
Well, as he goes on, because, you know, you see this guy cutting through a club and people are trying to stop him, and then 007's waiting for him in the bar down below. And even though I know it's 007, I'm not used to seeing 007 in a comic. So the way he looks and the way he's drawn, I just keep on thinking of Bruce Wayne.
I've always thought that whenever it's not whenever they do a 007 comic where it's not based off a 007 actor, it never feels like it's Bond. It always feels like I'm kind of watching, like a Bruce Wayne where he never gets in the Batman suit story and uses a gun. Like, that's what it always feels like. And I don't know if that's like the go-to drawing. If we can't use the likeness, I'll just make him look like Bruce Wayne.
And as this goes on, we get this guy. He's like he's at a poker table, and he's watching the Russian terrorist guy just trying to cut through, and he's just keeping his eye on him. And this loud Korean guy comes up and starts talking with him, and Bond, I almost said Bruce, Bond is almost just trying to shoo him off and ignore him. And then as it goes on, he sees like, oh shit, he's with this lady now. That must be like his contact or something. And from there, one second here. From there, Comixology's doing this thing where it fucking takes forever to load. From there, that's where he starts chasing him, but then the other guy kind of stumbles like, hey man, where are you going? And they start fighting. He's like, oh, this guy's an agent.
Yeah, and Bond kind of learns. It's like the whole point of the story is like Mr. Lee, the other agent. He's like, Bond just really is like, I don't like when there's another agent. I am the only one. Remember what happened to 008? Remember what happened to 003? Remember what happened to 006? Yeah, you fuck.
I remember 006. He was the bad guy in GoldenEye. But do you 003 and 008, were they in other books or movies?
This is always... I can't remember exactly what 00 number it is, but I think it's in Octopussy. At the very beginning, it starts off, there's a 00 agent, and he's dressed up like a fucking clown. He's like running away from and then he just gets brutally murdered. It's just be like, oh, another 00 agent's down. Like, he's like, please don't send my family like what I was doing beforehand. I was in a clown suit, and you're probably just gonna lie.
Buried in that suit, open casket.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna make up a lie at MI6 because they can't say that he's a secret agent. They're like, oh, he was just in the clown fetish thing, so that's what happened.
We found him dressed like this with a belt around his neck. Yeah.
And fucking 2 dildos strapped to him like fucking nunchucks. I am not questioning what he was doing with them.
Anyway.
Just like M just throws him into the casket.
Right. He was a hero who died for his country. Died for something. I don't know what.
Because that's the thing is, if you fucking die here, you're not getting that fucking hero's fucking like funeral because they're like, well, we can't speak of you. You know what I mean? It's like being in the CIA. You're gonna do a bunch of shit, and it's gonna be good for the nation, but nobody's gonna know about it. Not even your grandma's gonna know about it. Can't tell her. You know how much she talks. Well,
she's a yappy old bitch. She don't have a whole lot to do.
Yeah. Shit. She's gonna get on her fucking CB radio and fucking let everybody know it's 1981. But
well, as this whole the guy is this
Lee.
agent, this guy named, I'm not sure if they say his name by this point, but Lee, as he basically gets away, Bond is getting over to his car, calling Moneypenny. And from there, she's like, oh, yeah, let me see if I can pull anything up on this guy. And we see he's pulling at a bowler cap. I'm like, oh, shit. Is this fucking Odd Job?
Well, it's weird because then it's like, you get kind of the next one. They talk about, like, Odd Job back. See, this is where it, like, always throws me off, like, where this is supposed to take place. It's like, they're like, Odd Job, 35 years ago. Like, and it shows him, like, fucking bitch slapping this guy around and whatnot.
Old 00 agent back in the day.
Yeah, it's probably the fucking... He's like, oh, shit, they're going to bury me in the clown suit if I get killed here. that's the only thing going through.
That's the highlight of M's day. M gets to choose. Like, well, you know what? We lost an agent, but the best part is sending the note to their family saying some ridiculous fucking thing. Like, this one we found in, like, in the bathroom stall of a train station.
Yeah, he just loves writing those fucking backstories on, like, the obituary.
Had his lips duct taped to a glory hole. He was dedicated. What can we say? Like, M, is that necessary? This is the one fucking joy I get. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly, one of those ones. But so it's like you kind of learn that Mr. Lee was Mr. Lee like his son, or is he? I mean, he's obviously like related, or is he just like a trainee of Odd Job?
I'm assuming he's either his son or a trainee because they just call the guy. He is he has the same fighting style because there's this guy who rolls in a wheelchair who was a 00 back in the day, and he didn't die to him, but he got his back broken to him. And he's all saying
he got like the Bane Batman treatment.
He did, and I think his name is Edmund, Agent Edmund or something, or Edmondson. And his whole thing is, I'm wondering what they do here. This is just me guessing. I don't even know because I'm not even fully committing to this guess, but there's that theory that like James Bond is a code name that's passed down from agent to agent to agent. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's something with this right here, and maybe that's the same thing with Odd Job, but who knows? I'm assuming this is just a guy that Odd Job trained. I think they just wanted to get away in there to, here's OG Odd Job, and here's like updated Odd Job.
Yeah, and I was almost thinking that's kind of like what it was. They were trying to tie it around there, because I always thought that 007 thing, I feel like that's when somebody thinks a little too hard on a movie, be like, it's a fucking movie, just... It's like Batman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I, in my mind, I look at Batman and I go, "There's a 78-year-old man right there," but he can look like he's 42. That's just it. Just kind of comes together that way. I don't question it too hard. You know what I mean?
I just kind of look at like Batman and 007 as this. You're viewing it through a lens. It's basically the same story, but it's a lens that alters as time goes on. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's like The Simpsons, Bart's always 10 years old.
That's kind of how I view it, so.
But he can be in the different music genres as time goes on.
Yeah, I can only imagine Bart's in a SoundCloud rappers now or something. God, who knows?
He probably was. I just remember the good old days when he was into, like, heavy metal and the Spinal Tap Boys.
I don't want to get a whole other, like, rant here, but I saw some newer Simpsons episodes, like a couple random ones, and what I saw was good. It maybe wasn't like, season 8 or season like 9 or whatever, but it was still good, Well,
I'm assuming there's probably some good episodes and so on. I just remember it sounded weird, but there was just one point where I remember where like they changed Homer and Marge's like origin story to like, they were like, oh, Homer and Marge, they met in 1994, and it was like the fucking...
Now they're Gen Xers.
Yeah, and that to me was like, I was almost like, you lost me already. Now like, in a sense, it sounds so weird. I would have kept their 1970s origin even as time goes on. And just don't fucking worry about the age. That's just when it was. Like, you know what I mean? Don't question the dates. You know what I mean? It's like when an old person tells you a story and it's not really lining up right. You just let him keep going. He's got somewhere to go.
That's all he has by now.
Yeah. So back to kind of like Bond and whatnot.
But anyway, they're watching.
Yeah, you go on.
He's just like, he broke my back and he killed all my friends. And then Bond's like, don't worry, I'll kill him. Like, M's like, fuck that guy in the chair. I don't give a shit about him. I need you to bring this asshole in alive.
Yeah, M's probably like those ones like, I want this guy to die so I can bury him in a fucking mime outfit. Fucking laugh at him. But no, he's literally been on workman's comp for the last 45 fucking years. Rolling around in a wheelchair at the fucking office, sucking like British taxpayer dollars. This is why Brexit happened. We had to afford him. Him to wheel around in his chair cost more than being part of like the European Union. He's like, but all still, sir. Well, all can do the taxes. Nobody wants you to do the fucking taxes. You're a fucking old 00 agent that. Well, why did you fucking die that day?
Asshole.
So I can bury you in the goddamn mime costume.
Blame this asshole for Brexit. Shit.
Him just throws everything like you know what I mean? Like, God, the worst thing is a crippled 00 agent that still rolls around your fucking office. Well, he really just does like so fucking...
Once they get the 00 status, they still get a 00 paycheck, so shit.
Yeah, exactly. I love how he's just sitting like in like the cafeteria and he's got one of those fucking like umbrella drinks and so on. We're like, I know it's 11:30 in the morning, but I'm in a wheelchair. Who's gonna tell me I can't have a drink?
I'm fucking 10-year by this point. They just put like, that's where M just like jams like a broom between his two wheels. Fucking reach. Oh, you can't reach for it? That sucks. Just walks away. It's the little things.
For some reason, when he jams it in there, it just turns out like that scene in fucking Indiana Jones 3, and he just flips up and shoots in the air. But after that, Bond goes down to talk to Q, and I always like because Q, even though he looks a little bit different, he kind of almost reminds me of like I read him like he was John Cleese Q, because I always thought that was such a cool Q to have, and I mean he's only in technically like a movie and a half, but like John Cleese, I really wish they would have kept him even in the Daniel Craig ones, kind of like how they kept like M. It would have been cool if they'd been like, hey, we're just gonna keep John Cleese as well too.
Well, I also like he has a total Tom Selleck thing going on.
Yeah, he's got that thick mustache.
Yeah, he almost looks kind of like angry wartime, like because Q, I always imagine him more as like kind of like, oh, I am the scientist. Oh yes, but this is like a hard nose, like God damn it, you're breaking my fucking inventions.
Well, shit, you put a pair of glasses on this guy, and he'd be like your dad, just walking around down there.
My dad has been coming up in every other episode. I was like, I see it, but I'm not gonna say. Oh, you said it, okay. Nothing about Dunnigan's dad. Shit.
It was one of those ones.
But yeah, I put glasses on him and it's there. Like, God damn it.
And I just love how in the background, like, there's just like, you could tell it's probably the intern to fucking MI6. It's just like, there's nothing but some guy in fucking brutal pain in the background of this conversation between Bond and Q. There's this guy being lit on fire, another guy being shot with like an Uzi. Then like a third guy's getting electrocuted, and then his like body's being drug out. Be like, well, throw that by the dumpsters with the rest of them. They serve their country well.
There's 2 extra college credits worth it.
Yeah, it's just one of those, because most of there's always that one little scene where like, oh, there's a guy there, but this one's just like, no, we go fucking hardcore on everybody here. It's the initiation. You said you wanted to work in Q Division.
And then what country does he go to next? He goes to Indonesia. That's where he goes.
Yeah.
And that's where he bumps in with Lee again. And they're both keeping an eye out for... Because at first he doesn't know he's another agent. He just thinks maybe he's an assassin to fuck up his day. But then they get over to Indonesia, and then they see this the same Russian guy cutting through a crowd. And while trying to spot him, they spot each other. Like, oh, shit, we got to do this? So basically they're having this kind of like frenemy, kind of like... Look, I got a job to do. I got a job to do too. Well, we got conflicting interests. So how are we going to do this? And we learn that the Russian basically has this bomb attached to him. Like, and if he gets too far away from the bomb, or if his heart rate stops, the bomb goes off.
Yeah, and then there's also these other soldiers. I think somewhere in here explains it that they got this little like matrix-like chip thing on the back of their neck that sends like dopamine like whenever they follow an order well, and then like I think it like shocks them or makes them sick or something like that whenever they like misfollow an order. So it's like they're very well obedient. And I think a Bond just even says like, he has like something like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter, I'm just gonna shoot him fucking anyways.
Bond don't give a shit. Like I'll say, even though because I never read any of the original Bond books, but I hear that he's a lot more colder and a lot more like crueler in that. In this, he doesn't seem like that much colder, but he seems like a little colder than what he is in the movies.
Yeah, well, because I think it also sort of depends. It's like, it feels like Sean Connery Bond is kind of like, he doesn't give a fuck. He just like gonna, terrorize things up while still being kind of charming in the process. And Daniel Craig's kind of like in that similar one, where, Roger Moore, I feel kind of hits more like the super classiness.
I feel like this particular version of Bond, it's like if you want to just go off movies, he's a cross kind of between Sean Connery and Daniel Craig.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, I mean, I'll say it's definitely in like the Daniel Craig kind of style, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like it almost could have been like a script that they didn't use for like a Daniel Craig one.
Mm-hmm. And at some point he's got that lady with him with this dragon tattoo on her arm. Mm-hmm. Let's just take her out. And you see that the Lee is kind of protective of her. It's like, all right, this is going to come back around in some way. And
where they're like, well, they're Asian, they must know each other. Everybody out here they just happen to be fucking related or something like that.
It's that old imperialism talking. Sorry, Bond.
Billion people over here, and they just happen to know each other.
But as it goes on, we learn that like, oh, she's an agent that got taken over by this agency called Oro, Oro, or is that what it was, or you or something?
It's
what
like
was it again?
Oru. Wasn't that how they spelled it?
I think that's how they spelled it. It was that or ORO, one or the other. Is that an organization you know from the comic, from the books or anything?
Not that I remember. I don't remember that in any of the books or the movies. Not saying that couldn't have appeared at some point and just kind of spaces out on me, but no, because I'll say like this book really, other than like two kind of main characters for the most part, it's almost like one of those ones where it felt like, oh, I think this is all kind of just super brand new stuff. I don't think it's anything that came from anywhere else. I mean, you never know. Like, it could have been one of those ones, like, because I haven't read the books since I was like a kid, like around like 10 years old, give or take. So it's one of the ones I've been wanting to read them again recently. But so it might have appeared in one of those. It's always hard to keep up on everything after a while.
Yeah, and then after like basically a speedboat chase, they both end up on a beach, and that's where they get more of these Oryu agents coming in. They kill them all, and they point guns at each other. They do the thing where they shoot past each other to shoot the guy behind them. And then they're like, okay, well, let's temporarily work together. And that's where, like, I think Bond blows up his, like, Lee's boat to get ahead. And from there, we see M and Lee's main officer or boss basically trying to hash it out and try and figure out how are they going to do this. And then we cut to Bond coming in another, what country is he parachuting into now?
Aren't they in Australia by this point?
Maybe he's in Australia. He's parachuting down to, like, a base. Yeah.
Yeah, he's busting in. And of course, who's also going to this base? Mr. Lee again. You can just see Bond's just like, oh, fucking this guy again. Everywhere I fucking go, he's there. So, of course, they can never get along. It's just like that thing that's like, these two dudes are too similar almost, so they're definitely not going to be friends. 'Cause that's always that thing. You know what, like in life, when people go like, they find somebody who seems like, they're like, oh, well, this guy really likes this too. You guys would probably get along perfectly. Sometimes it's that weird thing that if you're almost too similar, you probably might not get along very well at all.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing sometimes. And I wonder, because every so often, I mean, say this was a movie, people would probably be complaining that, well, why is he not paired up with, like, a hot lady or whatever, Because I feel like if this was, most of the time, that would be the case. So, but at the same time, I think that, I'm sure there might be a movie somewhere where he got paired up with another agent that he didn't agree with, and they worked together, where GoldenEye, it was like 006, like, we're friends, like, no, we're not.
Yeah, that was the Cold War, Oh, okay. Well, I guess things have changed. I mean, yeah, well, this one really, it's like there's actually technically the only real lady in it, so it's either Moneypenny or the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah. And not the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, no, just another girl that happens to have a dragon tattoo.
And they get into a quick little fight, and, like, oh, yeah, well, once again, we meet again, Mr. Bond, one of those kind of things, and then they don't kill each other, but I think Bond just shoots him in the shoulder and on to the next thing, and basically goes into, from there...
They go like that laboratory.
The laboratory, and the agent, the Asian lady, is basically trying to get the bomb disconnected from the Russian guy. And then that's where both Lee and 007, no, actually 007 bust in to interrupt it. Then Lee comes in at the last minute.
Yeah, and then of course they just have like a big old fight once again. It's just like, Jesus Christ, these two agent guys. Like, you know that the girl with the dragon tattoo is like, God, I wish these guys would not just be like just shooting up the place and smoke's going out and they just don't give a fuck.
I will say it's an interesting concept, because they do play it off in a way where at the end of the day it's him and Oddjob on a job together. And they even have like that kind of pun kind of like that thing they would do like in old like superhero movies. Like, well, I mean, this is a good one, but it's still one of those things where, like, Jeff Bridges and Iron Man says, like, Tony, we don't do that. We're ironmongers, kind of like that. Or you get something like there's plenty more examples that are escaping me at the moment, but they do that thing like, this is going to be an odd job.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like,
Odd job is in bold.
Yeah, just so in case you missed that saying, we also enlarged the font, so it's there. It actually is flashing like a neon sign. Even if you buy the print version, they put a battery in there just so you can see that.
That MI6 technology they got behind it.
But yeah, so
well, anyway, so.
Okay. Yeah, it was. As they kind of continue on, you kind of realize, like, Moneypenny shows up and, like, literally puts, like, an end, like, yo, you guys are going to fucking work together. None of this fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, if I have to hear one more fucking bitchy complaint about Mr. Lee taking over your fucking spotlight on this fucking episode, like...
We're going to do the anime thing for a while, okay? 2 hot-headed guys and woman.
Yeah, and since I guess I am the woman, I will be it. So, stand down, I got an M16, I'm gonna blow your fucking heads off. Yeah, that was M's orders, and guess what? He's got a great costume, I can't tell you about it, but if you're dead, he's gonna bury you in it. He was at the rodeo last week, and that's all I'm gonna say. And if you think it's
other thing I will say, it's not the whole costume he brought back with him too. So
no,
narrow that down however you may.
But so now it's like, I think what we learn now is that now they're gonna work together, and now there's this fucking like island nation that's on like 150 miles outside of like fucking San Francisco. And I was just like, oh shit, where'd this come out of? I'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, you didn't hear about this?
Well, it don't matter, because boom!
And then it's like, yo, yeah, I know. Well, I think they're kind of explaining, like, okay, well, you gotta be careful. We let these 4 guys bring their fucking, like, Huawei cell phones in here. God knows what they're gonna do with them. And I just love how it's like Freedom Island. They're like, there's like literally like, we got the new Statue of Liberty out there. When her hair's fucking flowing in the wind, she's fucking hot, she's fucking kick ass and whatnot. I mean, dude, you come to our fucking island outside of San Francisco, you don't pay fucking taxes, you don't pay fucking fees. You know what I mean? You get here, there's just somebody to fucking suck your dick. Man, woman, animal, you don't give a fuck. They're like, oh, what's the downside of this island? Oh, well, it might blow up at any moment.
Security's real lax, so...
Yeah, we decided that, like, hey, let's take a bunch of, like, broken down, nuclear submarines, and let's just try to build a landmass on top of those, they built San Francisco on a bunch of rubble, so why can't we just do that out in the ocean on a bunch of nuclear subs that, that really served their time 30 years ago?
I imagine, maybe I'm wrong here, I imagine this is probably something set up from a older comic, or maybe maybe even a 007 book or something, because it really does seem like they're going out of their way to bring like this really cool concept. Like, oh yeah, there's this outside of not that far from San Francisco, there is this other like island that's just basically a free nation, does whatever it wants, and only the rich go there, and there's a lot of shady like deals that happen. Like, that's an interesting concept, but don't fucking matter because it blows up right here as soon as like these guys come in with their phones. So it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe we're coming back to that later, or maybe that's something that was set up.
Well, they don't technically blow it up. They talk about like, this is what would happen if it blew up.
Oh, I thought it actually did blow up there, because we're just waiting on the Russian right now.
If you look at that one page of like the lady in the glasses,
oh, it's a simulation.
Yeah,
it's a simulation.
She's explaining like this would be the casualty amount is you'd lose 2.3 billion, which doesn't seem like a whole lot for that island. 2.3 billion. There's skyscrapers on it. It's not even a fucking island. It's a floating city. Like something out of fucking Final Fantasy out there. Like, I will say, like, you know what I mean? Like, that island almost comes across like like, it sounds weird, but like almost slightly far-fetched, because you got this really grounded in reality, like, 007 one, but it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's this ginormous fucking floating island. Like, it's literally like the size of San Francisco, just floating out there. Like, well, what's it built on? Like,
it does sound weird in a way that, like, you'd have this concept for, how do we not know about this? And I guess you could say there's like just a private like island out there that's for the elite or something like that, or maybe it's I don't know. It does seem a little over the top compared to other things in this, but I mean,
because it's not even an island. I think that's what throws me off. Is it's literally like because it says here it's a floating city state. So that means it's like, what the fuck is it built on? I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like, the size of like a large ship, but no, it's like the size of San Francisco. I mean, look, it's got a bunch of skyscrapers out there, and there's fucking boats driving up and yachts and shit.
Yeah,
I just felt like all of a sudden, like there's like a resort and everything out there, It's like, there's a lot going on for this island. Just be like, yeah, like that.
Elon Musk owns one of those skyscrapers, probably.
Yeah. Just right out there, what have you. But I can't remember. Does Bond and like Lee and Moneypenny, are they on that island now when it goes to it afterwards? Where they go like that karaoke bar and whatnot, and like Lee and James.
I think they're still in Australia. They go to Australia because they go and they figure out where the Russian guy and the Dragon Lady are heading. And there's a bachelorette party, and they almost kind of figure out where their enemy agents are staying, kind of in coordination with the bachelorette party, because they're almost talking in a way where they're just saying like, "Oh, can we find a way to actually kind of get the hotel, like a hotel room furthest away from those girls?" Unfortunately, those girls took up this whole floor over here. Those people that just went by, they are on one of the ends. Like, okay, they almost, it's some way like that,
Yeah, it does a good job. Like, Moneypenny kind of does the thing where it's like, oh, okay, well, they got the room over there. Well, that's cool. We'll take the one right next to it. Like, she's just casually doing it, but then she's able to see exactly which one it is. I thought that was kind of neat how it went down. And then you had Mr. Lee, like, takes one of, like, the drunk girls back, but he uses it so he can use her room to plant, like, a bug in there. And whatnot.
He goes in there, he charms them, and he sings, and Bond's over there like, this fucking asshole coming in, stomping on my parade.
Fucking doing his Korean karaoke. I see how he's fucking doing. Just give me a fucking martini. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll be
pour
honest,
a Heineken in there too. I used to get sponsored by them.
I'll be honest, I like Lee. I think he's a good character for this. I don't think he needs to be in every book, but I do like this character.
Yeah, I think just kind of like sort of like I like to assume that he's like Oddjob's son. I know he might be like a trainee, but like I almost like that more if that is Oddjob's son. I think that's just like an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. Or he is the new Oddjob basically, and he's just going through. He takes one of because these girls are all partying. Bond is there in the corner, like whatever, and he takes one of the girls back, and like you said, she's passed out drunk, and what he does is he just takes time to bug the room next to him, because what they're doing is they're not actually bugging for like, it's some super sci-fi shit. They're not just like bugging it for sound. It actually picks up sound waves, and off the sound waves can make a hologram of what's going on.
It's like the sonar thing that in Dark Knight that Morgan Freeman just like really doesn't want to do.
But hologram.
Yeah.
So they gotta one-up them.
But, so, yeah, as they kind of do that, they sort of learn what's going on, and then they kind of show up on, like, on a beach outside there, and then they get to kind of almost, like, sort of the Mexican standoff, you can almost sort of say, where the Russian guy's grabbing, like, the girl with the dragon tattoo, and just be like, well, just calm down, everybody. Like, I've never shot a gun in my entire life. I've only been a terrorist for 2 weeks now, but I'm gonna fucking do it.
I'm only on week 2. Come on, just go easy on me.
I still got a week and a half of my like month-long course on terrorist school, but I think I got a pretty good grasp on it. They had one of the guys that worked with Bin Laden. He came in as a speaker on my terrorist school, so I thought that was kind of informative.
He had some very interesting tips. They were very tense, though. It was a very tense, awkward class. Like, a lot of heavy eye contact.
And a lot of pauses. You thought Barack Obama had those nice pauses? Well, this guy would pause for about, like, 30 seconds sometimes before he started talking again. It was kind of weird.
We all kind of, like, scoot our chairs just a little back. Like, there's a lot of room in that robe for something. So let's just scoot back just a little bit.
He looks like he's 300 pounds underneath there, but then I saw his calves, and I was realizing, wait a second. No, there's something else there.
Yeah, but anyway.
But
at some point he paused, made eye contact with me, and rolled up his sleeves. So I don't know what that was saying, but regardless, here we are now. But I'm about to get shot in the head. And
the strangest thing is he had a fucking clown costume underneath that suit. To this day, I don't know what that's about.
That's how they do it in Afghanistan, I guess. Shit.
I guess Osama bin Laden thought it was funny to bury him in a clown costume when they died, too.
Him and M had that in common.
He doesn't like to admit it, though. He just, go to, like, one of those fucking fancy island meetings where just rich people get together and just, like, have, like, they're like, well, what are you fucking into? Well, my fetish is I like to bury people in fucking stupid clown and mime costumes. And send photos back to their family.
All the people doing eyes wide shut parties, like, that's fucking weird.
Because they're just, like, laying there fucking, like, naked
like a
with,
fucking
like, masks on. Fucking court of owls like, coming in.
Oh, okay, going this way. You know?
They just got, like, that guy from Hostel who, like, shows up, he's like, man, I fucking love this place in here. Just, whoa, dude, you're taking a little too far. Like, no, dude, the guy's the fucking clown thing. I thought that was fucking weird. I just like the blowtorch people. I mean, is that so bad? Yeah, that is kind of bad.
Who brought the virgin blood? Let's just change topic. Come on. Fucking freaks in the clown costumes. There's a time where you, like, slit someone's throat and just have a blood orgy and be done with it. But no, they gotta go this extra fucking level.
But back to Bond on the beach with Mr. Lee and so on, and they get to their standoff, and then
I wanted to have another tangent, but the way you said that, Bond on the beach, like Ernest's day out, like Bond goes to the beach.
Oh, someone got shot in the fucking head. That was probably what was going to happen if Bond went to the beach, even if it's his day off.
It's just like you have the one where he's not so he must be going to some crazy tropical island and stopping some kind of like slumlord or terrorist or something. No, he just goes to the beach, has a nice day. How long is that movie? 2 hours.
I actually kind of like the idea of a Bond movie just called James Bond's Day Off. And it's like, you're going into it thinking it is. It's like, no, it's literally he just takes a day off, but he has a really fucking hard time with it. It's almost like a Woody Allen picture where there's like, not really a whole lot happens, but he's just kind of like going through like the moments. And so...
Like somebody's like, you know, somebody gives him back the wrong change, and he's like arguing with them.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, sir, it's okay. You know, here, just take it. I'm fine. It's only 65 cents. It's okay. Slams the fucking beer bottle down.
All they had was Heineken. They were out of like they couldn't make a martini because it was a pub. It didn't have hard liquor. And then someone dings the car to his Aston Martin, or dings the door to his Aston Martin.
So it's just these things, and he has to go fucking down to like the DMV and file like a complaint.
He's calling. He's like trying to get a hold of like his insurance agency,
company.
like.
Just like very mundane.
What's your name? James Bond.
Yeah.
It's like that name is not showing up in our records. Fuck. So he can't reveal his real identity to the world.
Yeah, one of those ones. But back to Bond on the beach with Mr. Lee, blowing fucking heads out. And I love how they just like blast us, like they're like, shit, that case could go. Oh well, I guess it doesn't blow up. You know, well, good to know.
And then like I think something they already acknowledged that it was being decoded, and they got it done essentially in the hotel room. And that's where, the terrorist gets shot in the head. Bond's about to shoot the lady, but then he shoots the gun out of her hand. And then Lee starts chasing after the lady. Like, no, she's gonna change. Trust me. And I think from there, that's where he opens up the thing. And like, oh, this thing's filled with gold, and this gold dragon statue.
Yeah, and then they kind of go in to explain to like this gold statue is like made in like 1200 like AD or whatever, and it's like people have been fighting over this thing for fucking years. You know what I mean? It's worth. I like it's like they have a specific number. It's like worth like $200 million, and it's just like, I mean that seems like a lot, but 007 villains like that seems like that's like chump change almost. You know what I mean? Like $200 million, like they're fighting over a $200 million statue thing. Like I feel like a double. It's like that sounds like a Dr. Evil plan.
Yeah. Like they could be raising for a higher number by then. I will say though, it does make sense where it's going because you realize as it goes on, like we'll get to that part when we get to that part. But then once we just jump ahead and we're just basically getting exposition from the whole MI6 crew, and we learn that Bond is still in jail in Australia, and Lee is still doing his job, and he has the statue now. So, and he's basically willing to make a deal to kind of trade the statue to get that agent back. Because we realized that lady was somebody that he was good friends with in training, and then a few years ago, she got captured and went through their mind control thing where they're injecting pain and endorphins into them depending on how well they follow an order. So her whole thing, and he makes the point that, like, she saw me multiple times and did not react. And she had a moment to shoot me, but she wasn't shooting at me. She was shooting at Bond. So I think there's a way we can reach her. So, and then his M is more or less like, oh, fuck, all right, do whatever you got to do. And then from there, that's where the lady is delivering something. I don't remember. No, she's not delivering. She's meeting up with her employer, and that's where Lee comes in, kills a bunch of people, and tries to save her. And she is kind of there, like she helps him for a minute, but then she like flees and gets out of there. Like kicks him in the face or something.
Yeah, she takes that like golden dragon statue with her, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's using the odd job hat again by this point as a weapon.
Yeah, he's got the bowler hat on and so on, so that's pretty cool. And oddly, it's like I like how like they were in like karate school together, which I was like, oh, I thought they were Chinese, but they're doing karate. I'm just so used to Bruce Lee movies, like God forbid they would ever be doing that. You know what I mean?
They're learning a little bit of everything, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I guess it's not fucking 1960s anymore, but.
I mean, well, they could be doing I'll say this: the kind of gi you would wear in Taekwondo is very similar to karate gi. So
that's true. I was gonna say, so that's probably what it is. It's they are probably doing Taekwondo.
That is a high kick.
Because I forgot in the very beginning they're speaking Korean. You know, so
yeah.
So that makes she is definitely doing the Taekwondo kick. He's just fucking punching that dude in the fucking face. Like, they're like, dude, it's a fucking sparring match. You didn't need to break his fucking face in.
No, but
he literally punched that guy in training harder than the panel beforehand where he's fighting like the criminal guys. He gave that guy like the soft, like, I'll hit you across the, the side of the cheek like you're like my nephew.
That asshole took the last green tea pudding in the cafeteria, so fuck him.
Fuck him. He's never gonna fucking be able to eat that green tea pudding again. He's gonna be having wired shut.
You want to eat this green tea pudding? Guess what? It's the only thing you'll be able to eat for the rest of your fucking life.
But so yeah,
in your fucking jaw.
Yeah, in their training and then so on. Then you see after she takes the golden dragon statue and she's like, yo. They always keep talking about, they're like, oh, we gotta go to Oro Prime or whatever, which sounds like some fucking, like, Megatron, like, base.
This sounds like a Transformers villain, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And when you get there, you realize, like, who she hand off gold to? I don't know. I think they should have really surprised you, been like, oh, shit. Like, the red herring was gonna be Goldfinger, but instead it's like, oh, no, she's handed off to, like, Scaramanga or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I actually wasn't expecting Goldfinger. I mean, it makes sense in the long run, but I wasn't sure where this book was. I'm like, well, it's a new Odd Job, so it's probably, maybe it's not meant to be the Odd Job we see in the movies, as far as I can tell. So maybe it's going to be someone else totally new or whatever. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It's Goldfinger, though,
Yeah, well, I mean, like, kind of makes, because I wasn't actually expecting that really either, too, because this book, I will say, it's like, it does have that thing where, like, I really couldn't pinpoint, like, where everything was sort of going. Not, like, in a bad way, like, story-wise, but I mean just, like, 007-wise, when I was just comparing my 007 notes in my head to this. It just kind of felt like, okay, well, where is this taking place at? Because I would have almost thought, by looking at the cover, I'm like, oh, it's probably going to be, like, in the Daniel Craig universe, but it's, like, a side story. Like, that's what I would have kind of guessed, being 2018, 19, whatever it is, But then it's like, oh shit, here's Goldfinger. But like, for some reason, Goldfinger really, he almost looks younger than he fucking looked like in the movies. It's like, so I'm
guessing this is its own universe, and they're just kind of like, and this is one where the bad guy doesn't die at the end, where the bad guy kind of gets away. So we'll get the Goldfinger Dr. No team up. We'll get the Jaws and Bambi and Thumper team up or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do think that's sort of where it's kind of going. You know, well, he just came out. He's in like a fucking Transformers outfit, like, like oh shit, they weren't kidding with that Oro Prime thing. Well, shit, we had the fucking floating island. You didn't think we were gonna have fucking Transformers in this too?
Well, how's that different from Die Another Day with the costume the guy's in at the end of that movie?
Oh yeah, well that was the one too where he definitely had like give me the superhero suit. Why? It's 2003. We gotta catch in on this wave.
X-Men's popular.
Yeah, give me an X-Men suit. I want to stand up like Magneto did at the very end of the movie.
And that's where we jump further ahead, and like Bond is getting out of prison because he's fucking Bond. No big deal.
Yeah, just like sometimes I feel like him he's like just leave Bond in there for a week. He just kind of, you know, it's good for him to be in prison. Not good for the inmates, but it's good for Bond.
Well, he gets a phone call, and he just gets that "fuck you" with the jacket over the shoulder, smiling like at ease, boys, walking by. Then goes back to London. Like, the fuck you doing in London? We're going back to where is he? They go back to they actually go to Oxford. That's right. They go to Oxford, and that's where it was interesting because it seemed kind of like, are they capturing like students and doing? Are they like? Because he goes to Oxford, and there's like some like fucking evil bad guy dungeon down at the bottom of Oxford.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. And like, it's just got like a padlock on it, like keeping it sealed up. Nothing too stressful for security.
And that's where Bond comes in, and then Lee comes in. And there's like a young guy on the table with something on his neck, and like they're gonna do the whole like implant thing on this guy. So it leads me to believe that they're probably picking up. I don't think they flat out said it, but I think they're picking up like promising young people for agents to like they can basically
they're almost like Kingsmaning it, but like, you know, sort of like
bad guy
they're doing the weird thing where they're like, okay, it's like getting child soldiers, but now they're old enough that like, you know, it's not like once like grab a bunch of 10-year-olds like Liquid Snake and just forcing them to do like, you know, your will. It's nicer. They're 20 years old. They can make their own fucking decisions. They're out of the house. We'll just put this implant on their neck and call it good. Shit, all I have to do is buy them like a fucking keg of beer and they'll all sign.
Yeah, I'll fucking do it, sure.
Yeah, it's like, it's really one of those ones.
Carry
like,
this fucking carry this bomb into a crowd and leave it? Shit, I'll do that for a beer. Alright.
These fucking college students are much cheaper than child soldiers. Like, a 10-year-old nowadays, like, he told me he wanted an iPad Pro. Not even just a regular iPad. He looked at me like I was cheap because I brought in a mini. Fucking, you know what? I go get a fucking keg of Keystone Light and they don't give a fuck in college.
He said he wanted the new like Nintendo handheld. So I'm like, I don't know. Is he talking about the DS? He looks at me like, what the fuck is this? Looks at me like I'm a fucking leper, and like, what the fuck? Isn't this the new one? He's like, no, I need the new 3DS. I'm like, what the fuck is that shit?
It's like, well, I didn't know when I went to the store that they're gonna stop making them all of a sudden, and now they got the Switch Lite thing. It's just too fucking confusing. Just let me go get a college kid. You know, beer has worked for the last like 10,000 years for hiring anybody in college. Shit, it's written on like fucking ancient Egyptian walls to be like, how do you get people to fucking build a pyramid? Well, you just give them a lot of beer first, and then they'll sign up to do anything.
He's even like,
shit, they even got a woolly mammoth up on the wall that's fucking drinking beer. It's like, yeah, he didn't know what he was getting into.
Hey, I bet these kids, you know what? I bet they'll really work hard for some whiskey barrel stout. Fuck that shit. Coors Light.
Yeah, well, you think we're made out of fucking money? Yeah, we literally are. We're sitting on it right now. Oh, well, that's
well, fuck them. They're getting Keystone and Coors Light, maybe Miller Lite.
Maybe some Rolling Rock if we feel a little bit zesty. I mean, I guess the worst part is we have to import that from America, but fuck it.
They got those connections.
So fucking Bond and Lee are down there, and they're just fucking shooting up underground Oxford.
And then from there, they get the kid some help, and he's rolling out there. And they come over to that's where they come in and they find Goldfinger, and he's just basically watching a furnace and jerking off, more or less. Saying, I love gold. Basically, not that far off from Gold Member in Austin Powers.
Yeah, well, it's one of those ones because he takes like he's like, here's the statue from the last 1,000 years that people have been fighting over for the fucking, $22 million or whatever the fuck it's worth. He's like, it's a fucking disgrace to make anything out of gold. Don't you know that I like it pure? It's gotta be better. Mr. Lee, wouldn't you agree? You could shoot me right now and you could be off and living like a fat cat for the rest of your life if you had it. But no, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna melt it down and put it in a gold block. That's the way gold should be. You think by the way he talks about how pure gold is and so on, he would like it like fucking natural. Like, no. Once it comes out of the mountain, you fucking leave it like the way that God fucking intended. But he's one of the ones he's like, no. I like it melted down. I like it in nice, even, rectangular squares that if I had to, I could put it in my back pocket.
The shit's not cut. It's not stepped on. All right. Wheel it in. He just like does the fucking thing, like fucking chips peas off, taste it, like it's in it like a fucking like Coke deal. He's like, load it up, we're good, yeah.
So his Goldfinger just fucking melts the statue that pretty much makes it like that 220 million or whatever the fuck it was worth. Pretty much now it's just worth whatever like fucking like 16 ounces of gold is worth or whatever.
Look at this Joker-ass picture of him when they actually throw the fucking dragon into the furnace. This fucking Joker-ass picture of him. Like, 'cause he even has his eyebrows with the way the shading is right there.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't his smile and so on. It's fucking just like, let's put a smile on. Just
like, are you happy, dude? Like,
I really think...
he only talks through his teeth.
That next panel down, they should have just put his hand down. I mean, like, it would have been kind of blocked, so you couldn't really say for sure what he was doing, but he literally looked like he's fucking jerking off into the smelter. Shit, you're at the fucking end of the book. You could do it right there, right? Come on. They made it this far. You got like 3 pages to go.
He's in there, like, jerking off over this thing, listening to Neil Young's Heart of Gold on repeat. I'm looking for a Heart of Gold, too. Been to Hollywood, been to Redwood. Fuck yeah.
Just fucking beating it off and whatnot. And then, of course, Mr. Lee gets fucking knocked out. And that's kind of just about it. Actually, there was a part earlier on, I think we must have missed it, but, like, I think it was when they were in Oxford, but there's a part where Bond literally does, like, the judo chop from, like, GoldenEye, like the Bond chop. But it almost, the way that it was drawn, it looked like he just slapped the guy upside the fucking head.
You fucking idiot. Stuff. That's enough to make him faint. Like, I wish you could do that. Like, if someone just pisses you off, like, go to sleep. Just slap him upside the head. Just face plant down on the ground.
You give him the old Vulcan neck pinch.
Yeah, that shit.
But boom, right there is where Volume 1 kind of ends. Fucking Mr. Lee's knocked out on the ground. So obviously, whatever... Maybe this Goldfinger and Old Odd Job, I don't know if they're kind of in cahoots or what have you. We haven't really learned their whole relationship here. But, yeah. I think it is kind of a fun, interesting start. I definitely enjoyed this book. As I said, trying to wrap your head around where this exactly fit. After a while, you just go, okay, it's a brand new 007 thing. Don't try to question it with anything else. But, no, I thought it was interesting. The artwork's fucking sick in it, I mean, Bond always looks like Batman, but cool stuff all the way around.
Yeah, we'll be sure to cover Volume 2. Hopefully Volume 2 doesn't end in a cliffhanger, but I was like, oh, well, now we definitely got to do it, because we were talking about doing, like, maybe 2 different Bond things, but I think we got to do Volume 2 to just cover this thing up.
Yeah, because the way this one ends, fucking Goldfinger jerking off in the smelter, Mr. Lee knocked out, fuck, we don't know if it's the girl with the dragon tattoo, really what's going on there, But yeah, no, I thought that was sick, and since we're not getting the 007 movies, I guess comic books and other stories are always the next best thing. And you always have a Bond marathon here and there, and you sort of sometimes forget how many comic books there is of 007.
Oh, I'm sure there's even ones before this point. There'd be ones like just tied into movies or things, or even just kind of like that kind of little like James Bond Jr. for God's sakes,
Yeah. Oh, I got a James Bond Jr. VHS, and then I have some of the ones from like the Roger Moore comic era. Like there's a couple I have that's like For Your Eyes Only, and some other ones too from olden day 007 stuff. But yeah, fun things to have, more Bond, good times. Beyond all that, go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, and all that other fun jazz. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later, folks.